Hi, today we're gonna learn on operating system security and protection. Okay, by the end of this course, please make sure you know what is the available security and protection on our operating system, such as authentication, authorization, and other things. Okay, and then please make sure you be able to describe the basic resource protection. Operating system consists of a collection of object, hardware, and software, and then these things will be interconnected, and it will work together, okay, to perform some of the OS activities. And the process, okay, process operated files, memory segment, CPU, and other resources must have the authorization from operating system. It means that whatever uh, process that need to run or the CPU allocation, memory management must be authenticated or must be authorized by the operating system. Protection. The purpose of protection system is to prevent accidental or intentional misuse of a system. In multi-programming OS, protection is required because of shared resources. Therefore, controlling access authorization will determine which principals are allowed to perform which actions. The third one is access enforcement, which combine authentication and authorization to control access to the operating system. We come to the security section. What is security in operating system? Security defense of the system against internal and external attacks like denial of services or DOS, worms, viruses, identity theft, and theft of service. There are few objectives that need to cover in this section. The first one is access. Access is to ensure that each user has reasonable access to all the system resources. It means that in operating system, there are few types of user. For example, we have normal user, okay, or administrator. Okay, access will determine the differentiate between the capability of normal user and administrator to perform action in operating system. Okay, for example, normal user is not be able to change or create another to change password or create another user. Like what do we have in administrator account? Authentication, only authorized users are allowed access to a network, a service, a system, or facility. Integrity is the message was not modified during transmission. Integrity is to ensure that there's no changes in a context or in the message that has been transferred to make sure to ensure the originality and to ensure the authenticity. Privacy is to make sure that the content of the message are known only to the sender and the recipient. Okay, this is because there is an attack that be conducted by attacker whereby the attacker can read the message that we send via our email, via our WhatsApp. The attack is called as man in the middle attack or sniffing attack. Okay, so in operating system or other security measure, there must be a privacy in their context. Okay. The next one is recovery. Recovery is nothing but backup and recovery procedure. Okay, for example, in our operating system, you must be noticed that there are backup and restore function in operating system that you must enable it first. Okay, that because if anything happen to your computer or to your operating system, we be able to recover from the last safe state. Okay, for example, you have enabled your backup and recovery in your operating system, and then you set up The operating system will back up all the data every night at 12 a.m. Okay, and the next day you have been attacked by a virus. So at that particular time, your operating system must be ruined or you must be break up. Okay, then what you need to do is you can easily recover from the last state, the 12 a.m. just before. Okay. The last one is auditability. The security procedure can be audited. Okay, the operating system actually they have their this function. Okay, that enable us to audit or to recheck what happens in our computer. For example, if our server or our computer has been attacked by an attacker last night, okay, actually we can check in our audit log. We call it log, L-O-G. If there is anything happen, if there is attack or bypass or someone try to log into your system, okay, by looking at the log report, okay. Coming to user authentication, as we discussed before, authentication is the process of verifying that a user is authorized to access a particular computer, server, network by providing uh, login password. Okay, that is to make sure that only a legitimate user or user with the password can be accessed to the computer. System generally first distinguish among users by asking for user identities, for example, user ID, password, individual access control, or files resources, or the system can identify by group ID. Okay, group of user access control or file resources. Okay, in this group ID or we call it as group work, work group. Okay, it's happen if your computer need to join in a particular line, LAN, particular LAN network. For example, you want to bring your laptop and then you bring it to the lab in your campus. Okay, actually the lab in the campus already set up as a work group. Okay, what does mean that once you have joined the work group, you will get access, you will get um, setting or you will get configuration same as what has been set by the administrator for that work group. For example, all work group in the lab must have antivirus. So your laptop will be checked if there antivirus in your laptop, and then this antivirus cannot be turned off. Okay, so that is example of work group. Every PC in the work group will get the same setting. Okay, that's what we call as group. Okay, and then lastly is group privilege escalation, extra permission on file resources and user ID. This means, okay, you can get privilege escalation or extended privilege by asking to the you can ask your administrator to get more access, okay, to a particular resources. Okay, for example, what kind of resources? Oh, you need to access a particular folder, shared folder, okay? Or you need to access to the particular server, or you need access to a particular printer, okay? That not belong to everybody, okay? So that's what we call a privilege escalation, okay? Um, PIN and ID password is to authenticate the ID of the individual logging on the system and provide security in the following ways. Okay, the password will be able to determine whether the user is authorized to gain access to a system and to determine the privilege accorded to the user, super user, guest, anonymous. Okay, this one I mentioned just now, the difference between administrator and normal user. Normal user we can consider as guest or anonymous. Okay, super user we can imagine administrator account. Okay, administrator account will get more privilege compared to guest. Okay, other than that is access discretionary or flexible access control. User may have permission to read file owned by the other users. Okay, just now I mentioned you that you can ask more permission to your administration to get access to another file or shared folder or printer. Okay, this one I have mentioned just now. Okay, other than that, in user authentication by using hardware, just now by using software, you need to remember your password. But now, what kind of hardware that can be used as the authentication? We have token, smart card, physical device, ATM card, credit card, badge, key. Okay, there is hardware that can be used as the authentication, and then each hardware, some of the some of the hardware consists of their own pin number or password, okay, attached to it. Okay, for example, a credit card, we have 3-digit authentication number at the back of the credit card. So if you have a credit card, please don't simply give your credit card to the merchant. Okay, okay, you just need if they need your credit card, you just need to keep your eyes. Okay, don't even don't even give the merchant to take your 3-digit number at the back of the credit card. Okay, the access token identify the users, all the primary group, power user, backup operator. Okay, just now we have learned about this. Token is the alternative form of authentication. A security token is inserted into the computer and generate password. Okay, this is something like auto-generated a password. I don't think we have used it in here. Okay, okay, you can see tokens something like this. When you put it the token inside into your computer, and then you need to have the software to run the auto-generated password. Other than that, for user views, you can use biometric device as the authentication. Okay, biometric devices measure physical characteristics of user and match them against user profile. This is very unique. Okay, each user profile will have a very unique biometric identification. Okay, biometric authentication can be cure for the insecurity of password-based authentication. If you are not really good, are not really confident with your password, or you feel that it's very difficult to remember your password, and then you can always ask for biometric technology. Okay, for example, in today's company, they are using a smart card to access the lift. Okay, or maybe in the next future, okay, you need to use your you need to use your thumbprint, okay, to access to the lift in your house. And let's say you live in a condominium in KL, and then whenever you need to use the lift, you need to thumbprint your uh to get access to use the lift. Okay, these are the example of biometric that commonly use: retina, okay, retina scanner, fingerprint, face recognition, iris scanner, handprint, the whole handprint, okay, voice print, like what we have in our mobile apps, okay, keystroke timing, okay, something like this. Keystroke timing will learn your pattern, will learn your pattern, and then of key in, okay, and then if there is changes, there is something abnormal in your mobile, in your typing pattern, they will consider you as a potential attacker. Okay. Okay, this is the Retina, this is the iris. Okay, this is the whole face recognition that has been used in immigration in the airport. Okay, most of it already implemented in the today's technology. Okay. Okay, next we're looking at the basic resource protection in our operating system. Protection problem is to ensure that each object is accessed correctly and those processes that are allowed to do so. Basic resource protection. Privileged user. A privilege is a permission to perform an action. System. Okay, for example, in a system or in a server, in a system, there are two domain that have their own permission. The first one is user. The second one is super user. User will get normal access. Okay, normal read and write access. But the super user or system administrator or a network administrator are responsible for keeping the system available and many power to create new user profile as well as add to or amend the power and access right for existing user. Okay, for example, in a company, you just join a company and then you need to create your own email address for the company. For example, Ahmad at uitm.edu.my. So in order to create a user email account, you need to request with your system administrator. So system administrator, they be able to create a user profile for you, okay, and then give access right to you. Okay, for example, in the company you will be reside on level 20. Okay, so the system in will tag or will set in your smart card that you can enter level 20 only. Okay, your smart card is not be able to enter other rather than level 20 in the company building. Okay, so that's the power of system administrator. Okay, so as administrator, normally we only give a basic privilege. Okay, that's what we call as basic resource protection. We must give our existing user, our normal user, a least privilege as we can, the least privilege that we can. This is to avoid um, any of the potential attack, because normal user also can be our attacker. Okay, so these are the example of access control in our files. Okay, in our system resources, we have learned it in previous chapter. We have user oriented control and data oriented control. User oriented control we have discussed just now. Okay, what user can do and what administrator can do. And then for data oriented control, mainly for our file and folder, we have three mode of access, which is read, write, execute. Is represented by this character: R for read, W for write, X for execute. And then for each file or folder, we can give access based on based on uh, the nature of the file. If the file is very high confidential, or only certain people can access the file and folder, then you need to get you need to give limited access to the file, or you can put no permission at all. Okay, so this example of file access permission. Okay, if you put x it mean that the user can execute. Okay, only execute the file only. For example, the user can open up Okay, or the user can run the file. For example, your installation file. Okay, if you put www, the user only can write, okay, on it. Okay, for example, user can open the Word and then they can write on it. Okay, but they cannot execute. They cannot save the text. Okay. Okay, and then write and execute, read only, read and write, and full access. Okay, this is the example of full access 0777, read, write, and execute. And that's what, if you get this access in your Google Drive, for example, your lecture give you a file with this access, you can open the file in the Google Drive, you can edit, you can save. That is example of read, write, execute. Some of the lecture only give you a read only file. It means that you only can open up the file, the PDF, the PowerPoint. You just can read the file only. Okay, you cannot do anything with it. You cannot download, you cannot edit, and so forth. Okay, so this is just a recap. Okay, other than that, we have CPU and memory protection. Okay, what is buffer overflow? Okay, the operating system also have this capability to protect the CPU and memory protection by providing buffer overflow protection. It happens when data is put into a buffer, then it fits, and the extra data have to go somewhere. Somewhere here is the extra data will be loaded into memory that will congest the memory function. Okay, buffer overflow are not always security problem. However, program can fail completely. It means that buffer overflow the is not the problem. It's not the problem that caused by the operating system. Okay, buffer overflow mainly happens by the programmer itself. Okay, by the programmer themselves. Okay, when they as a programmer create or develop a program, they must allocate the buffer accordingly or very securely, okay, to avoid over buffer flow attack. Okay, so it means that this is not the caused by operating system, but it depends on the developer of the application, whether they are good in setting the buffer or not. Okay, buffer overflow protection is used to detect the most common buffer overflow by checking that the stack has not been altered when a function returned. Okay, the example of buffer overflow error is like this. Yeah? When you run a program, you suddenly feel that your operating system will get hang or lag. For example, you run a Photoshop and suddenly you feel that there is a lagging or hanging, okay, in your Photoshop software. That's the example of buffer overflow error. Okay. Data execution prevention is a set hardware and software technology that perform additional check on memory to help prevent malicious code from running on system. Okay, this one is something like antivirus that can check is there any malicious code that run at the back on your operating system. Okay, and lastly we have kernel patch protection. Okay, we have learned about kernel. Kernel is the heart of the operating system that helps managing all the file component in operating system. Kernel will manage the function of all of our network management, process management, memory management, device management, and file management. So there must be an important section, important function in operating system to protect the kernel. So that's why we have kernel patch. What is patch? Patch is something like if there is a wound, if you have wounded in your skin, you need to put patch. Okay, you need to put a medicine, and you can patch with a bandage, right? So in a operating system, or in a computer, if there is a vulnerability in a system that can allow attacker to enter to your system, we need to patch the system. It's like we need to patch and to close the vulnerability hole. Okay, so that's what we call as patching. By definition, the kernel patching is the practice of using unsupported mechanism to modify or replace kernel code. Such modification has never been supported by Microsoft Windows because it can reduce system security and reliability. However, there is a patch guard that prevents patching the kernel, like protect kernel structure against modification by device driver. It introduced in 2005 with the 64-bit edition for Windows XP and Windows Server 2003. It's very long ago. Since patching the kernel is possible in 32-bit edition Windows, several antivirus software are developed by use kernel patching to implement antivirus and other security devices. This technique will not work on computer running on 64-bit edition of Windows because of its kernel patch protect resulted in antivirus maker having to redesign their software without using kernel patching technique. What is said here that kernel patching is not necessarily a good practice in OS operating system. Sorry, in Windows operating system, because it is not supported by Windows. Okay, they must they have some kind of additional or extra tools, okay, that people can download easily from the on the internet. Okay, for example, you go to download, you go to Google and you try to download kernel patch. Okay, yes, you can download the tools, and then so you can easily install the patch of the kernel, but the file or the installer or the tool is not recommended, it's not authorized by the Microsoft Windows at that time, in 2005. Okay, but today's, okay, the kernel patch or the OS patch can be included in the operating system updates, and some of it can be you can get from the antivirus. Okay, Windows antivirus. Okay, that's what we learn from this slide. Okay, okay, and then you must be able to identify or to differentiate different kinds of malware. Malware is known as malicious software. That is general term for all types of malicious software. Okay, in order to protect the CPU and memory protection, okay, you must be careful with all this malware. For example, we have virus, worm, Trojan horse, logic bomb, rabbit, and backdoor. If anything happened to operating system, we can easily say that, oh, this is because of the virus. But actually, there is a difference between virus and worm. A virus can be said that a program or a piece of code that can spread from one computer to another by embedding copy of itself into file. It means that if you if you try to if you try to open up a file, and then you feel that something happened to your computer, okay, and then you realize that there is a virus attack in your computer, right? And then once your computer has been attacked by the virus, you can realize that another computer in the same network also has been attacked by the same virus. That's what we call as spread from one computer to another computer by embedding copy of itself into a file. Okay, this virus be able to jump and infected another files in your network. Another important characteristic of virus is the virus only can be execute by human intervention. It means that the virus only can be run but whenever human or people like us execute or run the file. If we don't run the file, sometimes some of the virus cannot be run automatically. Compared to worm is able to run automatically without human intervention. Okay, once you have been infected with the worms, it can easily spread from one computer to another computer by transmitting copies of itself via network which connect the computer without the use of infected files. Okay, so worm is more dangerous than virus because it spread automatically. It's not necessary require user intervention. Okay, like what we have in virus. Okay, the third one is Trojan horse. Trojan horse is what we call a program that looks like a real program, but actually it consists malicious intent inside it. For example, you download a MP3 program from the internet, and then yeah, you can see that the file is contain MP3 extension behind it, and then you can see that oh this file is secure because this is MP3 file. Once you run the file, okay, is what happen is in the back is it will execute another malware or another virus or worm that reside that attach to the MP3 file. That's what we call as Trojan horse. Okay. The logic bomb triggered by some external event such as the arrival of specific date or time or the creation or deletion specific date items such as file or database entry. Logic bomb happen whenever the attacker set the time. Okay, for example, at the virus will attack on 12 a.m. on Saturday, 21st October. Okay, that at that particular time, then your computer will be affected by the virus or worm. Okay, Rabbit use up all of the particular class of resources such as message, buffer, file speed, process control block on a computer system. The malware such as the rabbit malware is something like we cannot see and we cannot feel, okay, because it's happened in the back in our system resources. Okay, so this is also we call it rootkit that rootkit ROOTKIT. Okay, so whenever you buy an antivirus, please make sure that the antivirus be able to support or to cover the rootkit infection. Okay. The last one is backdoor. Access to the target without going through any of the normal login and authentication procedure. Okay. Alright. So backdoor is something like whenever an attacker be able to attack or to get access to a system, to a particular system, to a website, to a server. Okay. At one at first they need to attack and then they be able to get into the system. Okay, once they get access to the system, normally they will create another administrator user for them, so that in the next time in the future whenever they want to enter to the system, they no need to use any of the attacking methods. They no need to use any of the malware and virus attack. They only can use the username and password that they have created just now. So that is the example of backdoor. Okay, other than that, they can use in advanced way, they can use scripting, okay, to create a backdoor in the port number at the back of the operating system. Okay, so that is another example of CPU and memory protection. Alright, so that's all for today. If there is any other question, you can always PM or post it in the comment section. Thank you.